Ask yourself this. Why do smart, successful men still get destroyed in love? Why do men with money, power, and discipline still end up cheated on, divorced, or used as backups? It's not because they're weak, it's because they're blind. Blind to the 4 brutal truths women live by but will never confess. And if you don't face these truths, it doesn't matter how strong or successful you are, you will lose in love. But the moment you understand them, everything changes. In this video, I'll reveal the 4 brutal truths that women will never admit, but every man needs to hear before it's too late. If you think you already know everything about women, this video will test that belief. I've worked with men who swore they understood it all, until these truths crushed their assumptions. Subscribe right now, like this video, and tell me in the comments, are you open to having your illusions shattered? Because the first truth I'm about to share will challenge everything you thought you knew about love and commitment. Number 1. In many relationships, women judge your future, while men must judge her past. Most men step into relationships blind to this brutal asymmetry. Many women are wired by nature to scan forward. They look at you and silently calculate, can he provide stability? Can he navigate storms? Will he protect me and elevate my life? Or will he collapse when pressure arrives? For a woman, a man's romantic past is often irrelevant. A man could have dated 100 women, and in her eyes it can prove he has experience, social proof, and a sense of status. His history can become an asset, not a liability. But men, you do not have that same luxury. For you, her past matters deeply. And it is here that too many of you stumble, because you are told to ignore it, to be progressive, to not judge. Yet a woman's history is the greatest predictor of her future with you. A woman who has cycled through chaotic relationships, who has built a trail of broken commitments, who has treated intimacy like a hobby. These are not minor details. They are warning signals. Why does this matter? Because patterns repeat. A woman who struggled to attach before will struggle again. A woman who has lived in drama will unconsciously create it again. And if you ignore this truth, you will not simply inherit her affection, you will inherit her unresolved baggage. Think of it like buying a house. You do not just look at the shiny kitchen, you ask about the foundation. Was it flooded before? Has it been repaired poorly? Because if you do not, you will discover the cracks when they are already destroying your investment. A woman's past is the foundation. Ignore it, and you will build your life on quicksand. I have seen too many men learn this lesson the hard way. A man falls for charm and beauty. He convinces himself he is the one who will finally tame her chaos. For 6 months, everything seems intoxicating. Then the cracks appear. The late-night arguments, the unresolved loyalty issues, the endless comparisons to exes. Suddenly, he realizes he did not meet a partner ready for commitment. He adopted a storm disguised as love. The brutal reality is this. A woman's past tells you the truth she will never advertise. She will not hand you a resume of mistakes. She will not confess the drama she has created before. But those stories are carved into her habits, her reflexes, her triggers. You either read them carefully, or you end up paying the price for that oversight. Now some men will object, but shouldn't we forgive? Shouldn't we give her a clean slate? Forgiveness is one thing, blindness is another. You can forgive her past and still recognize that it may make her incompatible for a future with you. Choosing to ignore it is not compassion. It is self-destruction. Let me make this clear. Your job as a man is not to judge her harshly, not to shame her, but to evaluate with open eyes. Is this woman's history aligned with the future you want to build? Or are you seducing yourself into denial because you are lonely? Most men who fail in love are not defeated by women. They are defeated by their own refusal to see the truth staring them in the face. And the painful truth is this. A woman's past tells you everything about her future with you. Ignore these patterns, and you risk paying a heavy price. That is not cruelty, that is cause and effect. So, do not approach women with naive hope. Approach them with discernment. Study her patterns, not just her words. Watch how she has treated commitment before, not just how she promises to treat you now. Because the man who filters wisely will save himself years of wasted time and endless heartbreak. Number 2, modern dating culture often creates inflated expectations. Today, it's common to see a belief that a woman deserves a king while bringing nothing but chaos to his throne. This is not an insult. It is a brutal observation that has been proven again and again in the modern dating landscape. Let's break it down. From a psychological standpoint, many women are wired to seek partners who can provide greater stability or status. This is a natural instinct to reach up, not sideways or down. In itself, it is neither good nor bad. It is simply human nature. The problem is when this instinct collides with modern culture, social media, dating apps, and a flood of attention from desperate men, and suddenly a person's self-perception inflates far beyond reality. Here's the picture. A woman in her late 30s, 2 children from previous relationships, still believes she can command the loyalty of a wealthy, high-status man who makes more than she does, is more competent than she is, and has no interest in raising another man's children. Why? Because for years she has been conditioned to think she deserves the very best. Every like on her photos, every message in her inbox, every man offering free attention reinforces the illusion. I am valuable no matter what. But value in the dating marketplace is not measured by likes or comments. It is measured by desirability and long-term viability. Harsh as it sounds, a woman's prime window of attraction often peaks in her early 20s. That is when beauty, fertility, and youth converge. Men, on the other hand, frequently peak later in their late 30s or 40s, once they have built competence, resources, and status. So while a man's value can climb with time, a woman's tends to decline unless paired with exceptional character and loyalty. Yet this reality is often ignored. Some women believe earning a high salary offsets everything else. They think degrees and promotions make them more appealing to high-value men. But here's the truth. Men do not typically share their resources the way women do. A successful man will use his wealth to support his partner. A successful woman rarely shares her wealth in the same way. Her money is hers, his money is theirs. And this creates a brutal mismatch when she expects him to out-earn her just to qualify. I have spoken with countless men who run into this exact wall. They meet women who bring long lists of demands. Must be funny, must be strong, must be kind, must love her children as his own, must out-earn her, must be more ambitious than her, must carry the confidence of an alpha and the patience of a saint. Meanwhile, what does she bring? Baggage, obligations, and an inflated sense of entitlement that bears no resemblance to her actual position in the marketplace. This is why so many men end up burned out. They think if they just keep improving themselves, if they check one more box on her endless list, then she will finally commit. But that list was never meant to be completed. It was meant to keep you chasing, to keep her feeling like the prize while you exhaust yourself, proving you are worthy. And that's when the brutal realization hits. Her checklist has 200 boxes, and you, her plan B, are supposed to tick them all. That is not love. That is delusion. Now let me be clear. Not every woman has these expectations. Some understand their reality and adjust with grace. But the modern dating culture rewards the opposite. Women with inflated standards gain attention, validation, and a sense of power, even if that power collapses when faced with real commitment. For men, the lesson is straightforward. Do not negotiate with fantasy. If you find yourself with a woman whose demands outweigh her contributions, you are not her partner, you are her unpaid employee. And if you accept that role, she will never respect you, because deep down, she knows she has placed herself above what she can realistically command. You must flip the script. Instead of asking, how can I meet her standards? Ask, do her standards even make sense? Do they align with reality, or are they inflated by ego and external validation? That single shift in mindset will save you from countless wasted years. Men who thrive in love do not chase entitlement. They set boundaries. They recognize when a woman's expectations are incompatible with reality, and they walk away even when she is attractive, even when she seems charming. Because a relationship built on delusion will always collapse under its own weight. And the cold, undeniable truth is this: modern culture often leads women to believe they are worth far more than they truly bring to the table. If you do not see it clearly, you will become the man who sacrifices everything just to prove you are enough, and still ends up discarded when she realizes she was chasing a fantasy. So, stop chasing impossible checklists. Stop negotiating with entitlement. Build your value as a man, not to impress women who cannot be satisfied, but to attract those rare women who see reality, respect boundaries, and are capable of genuine partnership. That is how you win, not by being her fantasy provider, but by being the man who refuses to play in a rigged game. Number 3, there are no perfect partners, only untold stories. The fairy tale lives deep inside every man. You believe somewhere out there is a woman untouched by chaos, immune to temptation, immune to betrayal. You tell yourself if you just search hard enough, you will find the perfect one, the flawless partner. But here is the brutal truth. That flawless partner does not exist. The only difference between someone who seems perfect and someone who seems flawed is the story they have not told you yet. Human beings are not blank slates. Every woman you meet carries a history, relationships, mistakes, choices, secrets. Some of those stories are visible, many are not. When you meet her, you only see the curated version, the polished highlights. What you do not see is the hidden archive. The late-night regrets, the impulsive flings, the questionable decisions she would rather erase. And because she knows these stories could ruin her image, she will not reveal them willingly. This is not cynicism, it is psychology. People present the best version of themselves to secure connection. But when men buy into the illusion of a perfect partner, they blind themselves. They believe her silence equals purity. They assume her lack of confession equals lack of past. That assumption destroys men, because when the truth eventually surfaces, and it almost always does, the betrayal cuts twice as deep. First, you feel the pain of what actually happened. Second, you feel the sting of your own denial. I once spoke with a man who built his entire life around a woman he swore was different. She dressed conservatively, avoided nightlife, and spoke about loyalty. For 3 years, he believed he had found the exception. Then, one casual conversation with one of her old friends revealed a side of her past he never imagined. Multiple partners in her early 20s, a reputation for drama, stories she had carefully hidden. He was devastated, not because of the past itself, but because of the illusion he had chosen to believe. The marketplace has changed. Social media, dating apps, endless validation. These platforms have given every woman the opportunity to curate a polished image. She can filter photos, filter stories, filter reality. But behind the curtain, the same dynamics exist. Attraction, temptation, impulsivity. They do not vanish just because she looks innocent. Let's be blunt. Stop chasing the fairy tale. There are no angels in the marketplace, only human beings with pasts they will not confess. Believing otherwise is not hope. It is self-deception. So what should you do? The answer is not paranoia. It is not interrogating her about every choice she ever made. It is discernment. Instead of asking, is she a perfect partner? Ask, what patterns are visible in her actions? How does she handle temptation? How does she handle responsibility? Because while the past cannot be erased, the present reveals whether she has grown from it or whether she is still repeating it. The mistake men make is assuming they need purity. What you actually need is consistency. You need a partner whose current behavior proves she is disciplined, loyal, and stable. If she hides, deflects, or lashes out when you ask simple questions, that is not a sign of innocence. That is a sign of stories she does not want you to discover. And the dangerous consequence is this. When you idolize the idea of a perfect partner, you blind yourself to reality. You hand over your trust without requiring proof. And in doing so, you set yourself up for the very betrayal you fear most. The woman you believed was different turns out to be human, flawed, imperfect, carrying scars like everyone else. The men who succeed in love are not the ones who find unicorns. They are the ones who accept that no one is flawless and who set boundaries that filter out destructive patterns. They do not chase illusions. They measure reality, and because of that, they are harder to manipulate, harder to blind, harder to break. So, stop searching for the perfect woman. She does not exist. Start searching for alignment between words and actions. Look for consistency, not perfection. And remember, every person has untold stories. The question is not whether they have a past. The question is whether you can live with it. Number 4. You may not actually be her first choice. This is the hardest pill for men to swallow. When she chose you, someone else may still have been on her mind, and in too many cases, that ghost never leaves. Psychologists describe this as an emotional imprint from a peak experience. When a woman once connected with a man who awakened her strongest attraction, whether through charm, dominance, or chemistry, that memory embeds itself deep in her psyche. Even if that relationship collapsed, even if years have passed, she can carry a lingering attachment to it into every new relationship. She may be with you in body, but part of her is still with him in spirit. Here is how it plays out. A man dates a woman, invests himself, commits fully. Everything seems fine on the surface. Then, in a quiet moment, he discovers evidence, a hidden message, an old photo she cannot delete, a comparison she let slip during an argument. Suddenly, he realizes he is competing with a memory he can never defeat. Because you cannot outshine a ghost. You cannot win against the pedestal she built for another man. This is not about paranoia. It is about reality. Many men enter relationships assuming once commitment is made, the past is erased. But a woman's feelings do not obey logic. She can agree to exclusivity and still long for the man who once stirred her deepest desire. And when that longing lingers, you are no longer her first choice. You are her safety net. Make no mistake, the price for ignoring this is crippling. A man who is not her first choice will rarely receive her full devotion. He will receive her compliance, her companionship, perhaps even her affection, but not her fire, not her deepest respect, not her unfiltered desire. Over time, this imbalance erodes him. He compromises, he concedes, he bends to keep her satisfied. Each concession makes him smaller, weaker, less attractive, until eventually she leaves, or worse, she stays and slowly destroys his confidence with quiet contempt. I recall a story of a man who discovered an email his girlfriend had written days after agreeing to exclusivity with him. In that email, she was begging another man to take her back, promising they would have beautiful children together, insisting they were perfect for each other. To the man reading it, the truth shattered him. He thought he was building a future with her. In reality, he was nothing more than a rebound, a placeholder, while she pined for someone else. And the brutal bottom line is this: if you are not her first choice, you will never get her best. You will only get what is left, and what is left will never be enough. So, how do you protect yourself? First, listen to your intuition. If something feels off, if you sense she is emotionally elsewhere, do not ignore it. Second, observe her behavior. Does she speak often about her past relationships? Does she compare you, even subtly, to someone before? Does she seem lukewarm in her admiration of you, like she is going through the motions? These are signs she may still be attached to another man. And here is the most important step. Never settle for being the backup plan. It is better to be alone than to build your life with someone who secretly longs for another. Because you deserve more than borrowed affection. You deserve a woman who sees you as her priority, not her consolation prize. The men who win in love are not the ones who tolerate being second. They are the ones who walk away when they realize they are not first. They refuse to fight a losing battle against a ghost. And because of that, they keep their self-respect intact, their confidence unbroken, and their standards high. So, do not waste years trying to convince a woman to forget the man she once adored. Do not bleed yourself dry attempting to prove you are better. If you sense you are not her first choice, step back. Because while you cannot control who imprinted on her heart, you can control who you give yours to. Most men lose in love not because women are impossible to understand, but because they refuse to confront the truths that are right in front of them. Over the last few minutes, you have seen 4 brutal realities. In many relationships, women judge your future, while you must judge her past. Modern dating culture often creates inflated expectations. There are no perfect partners waiting for you, only human beings with untold stories. And perhaps most painfully, you may not be her first choice, no matter how much she commits with words. When you put these truths together, the picture becomes clear. Love in the modern world is not about finding perfection. It is about seeing reality without filters. Too many men step into relationships blind, hoping to rewrite a woman's history, hoping to satisfy demands that cannot be met, hoping to be the exception in her story. That blindness costs them years of time, mountains of energy, and sometimes their entire identity. The men who win are the men who wake up. They stop negotiating with fantasy. They stop searching for unicorns. They stop begging for validation from women who were never invested in them. Instead, they set boundaries. They evaluate with clarity. They demand alignment between words and actions. They accept nothing less than being a woman's first choice. Now you see the code in the matrix. The question is no longer whether these truths are fair. The question is whether you will continue pretending, or whether you will finally play the game with your eyes open. If even one of these truths hit you hard, that means you needed to hear it. Do not keep it to yourself. Share this video with a brother who is still walking blind, who needs the wake-up call before it is too late. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because your story might help another man recognize his own. And before you leave, hit subscribe. Every week, we break down the hidden dynamics of love and power, so fewer men lose themselves in illusions. The world will not hand you the truth. These realities will not be confessed openly. That is why you must face them, accept them, and use them as weapons to protect your future. Because the only men who win in love are the men who refuse to play by lies.